Jewel in the Night. First recording from Space Station, really? So bright, jewel in the night, there in my window below. So bright, dark as the night, with all of our cities aglow. It's long been our way to honor this day and offer goodwill to men. And know wherever we go, it's come round to Christmas again. So far shines every star, there without limit to see. So grand, far away land, beckoning, calling to thee. And let it be shown wherever we go, in all of the wonders above. With all that we bring, there's no finer thing than this message, this promise of love. A love for the families that gather below, love for the stranger that you never know, for those who aren't with you, who wander above. So bright, jewel in the night, there lies the cradle we knew, home of all that we love, and all of our memories too. It shall be our way to wander away and take with us all that we know, and never cease this message of peace from Bethlehem so long ago, and never cease this message of peace from Bethlehem so long ago.
Alrighty then. Welcome to Flying Internet Spaceships. I am your host, Malcor Rex, and this is Shit Talk Saturday. So what we do is we talk about some Eve shit. Sometimes maybe we're just going to talk shit. It really just depends. But it's our casual day of the week show, and so hopefully you will enjoy it. We'll go over just a couple of things about the show. First of all, the chat rules, they're pretty basic. Don't piss anybody off. It's not that kind of show. I mean, you're free to express your opinions and whatnot in the chat, but, you know, don't cause a fuss, don't bait anybody, don't try to start some shit, or we'll just ban you. We do have a co-host today, Guy Heiyuu, but he hasn't jumped in the Discord yet. Perhaps he will join us here in a little bit. You can see that his little icon thingy is there waiting, but he hasn't joined us yet. Hopefully he will. We just got done listening to, and I'll just read it. I actually got it written down. That was Chris Hadfield. He is the commander of was the commander at the time of the International Space Station, and it was the first ever musical recording from outer space, from space. Chris Hadfield is quite a hero, actually. He did a bunch of musical stuff while he was up there on the space station, including that track. And I may be mistaken, but I think that track was also broadcast live, uh, like on the NASA channel for Christmas, something like that. But in any case, it was the first recording from space, and Chris was the commander of the space station, which probably explains how he was able to get his guitar up there, because that's they're usually given a very small little like duffel bag kind of thing, and that's what they get to bring up there for personal items. And Chris, being the commander, probably pulled some strings, and he got got his guitar up into space. And he did a bunch of stuff. We'll play some more of his music next week, or on the next show tomorrow, maybe even Sunday show. And that brings up our schedule. Uh, Tomorrow, Sunday at 2 p.m. And we started a bit late today. We had some minor technical difficulties. Hopefully, we have solved them. But so we started at about 10 minutes late. But tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time, same time as this show today, we will do yet another show on the new player experience. And I'm not going to discuss who our guests are yet because we haven't actually nailed them down or confirmed them, but we're hoping to have a very exciting show about the new player experience. Of course, last Sunday was awesome, and that's up on YouTube. And you can get those links below. Uh, we have the Twitter link and the YouTube link are below on the page, and also the donation link. Please, if you happen to have some extra dough lying around and you feel like the show deserves being supported, the money will go towards equipment. Um, at first, probably just like stuff like a microphone and stuff like that, but then eventually, I'd even like to get a new computer to stream on. Give me 1 second. Put my cigarette out. So yeah, Sunday and then Monday we're gonna do a show. It's gonna air a little bit later. It's gonna be 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's called Meerkat Monday, and I'll explain the meaning behind the title when we do the show on Monday. But it will be a show primarily focused. Our Monday shows will be primarily focused on the economics of Eve. So we could be talking about anything. We could be talking about trading, planetary interaction, mining, the resource changes that are being done in Eve Online. There's been a lot of redistribution of the resources as the CCP people try to, I guess, in their mind, balance the economy. There's a lot of question, though, I guess, about exactly what they're shooting for there, but we'll talk about that on Meerkat Monday, and that show will air again at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It'll be a 3 hour show. All the shows will be pretty much 3 hours, but that's flexible too. I mean, if we run out of crap to talk about, we'll end it early, and if we get into some really exciting stuff, we'll just keep on streaming. And then anytime during the week, if anything huge happens, any kind of big news, maybe a big battle or anything like that to do with EVE Online, I'm liable to just spring into action and start streaming right off the cuff. So, that could happen too as well. So, I got some ideas of some topics to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is the party in Jeddah, guys. And if you're not familiar with what's going on in Jeddah, uh, man, let me tell you something. Grab a ship, something cheap. Get out of your clone that has all your implants in it, because after all, it is Jeddah, right? And pack your cargo hold full of fireworks and head on down to Jeddah, because it is one hell of a party. I've been down there now for 4 days, almost five, I think 5 days. I've been down in Jeddah. I left early in the week, uh, and I took my Estero. I packed a cargo hold. I collect fireworks, so I always have thousands of them laying around, just waiting for a party like this. And I packed the cargo hold as full as I could pack it this time, because I had a gut feeling this was going to be the space party to end all space parties, and I haven't been disappointed since I've been down there. Um, So yeah, I flew down there. So it was like 33 jumps from Delhan to get down to Jeddah safely, taking a safe route. And I arrived safely enough. And um, first of all, just amazed. I've been getting better at taking screenshots in the Eve Online client. So I've got a ton of pictures to share with you all, man. We'll see if we can get it to go up here. It doesn't want to. How come? Hold on for a sec. There we go. Can you hear me now? Yes. All right. So there I am docked in Jeddah, uh, inside the new station. Doesn't really, you can't really see all that much. It's not, it's bigger. It's much, the docking bays are much larger. And you can see I have already, as soon as I got to Jeddah, I dismounted my covert ops cloaking module, and I mounted up my festival launchers. They appear as one on both sides. When you mount it, there's one on the other side as well. I left my lasers on. I could have mounted two festival launchers, but eh, it's Jeddah, right? I don't feel completely comfortable flying around completely unarmed, so I just mounted one festival launcher, but then it appears as two on opposite sides of the ship, sort of catty corner. I can sort of maybe try to point them out. I don't know if you'll be able to. I guess I can't really do the mouse thingy on the pictures, but so there I am, docked in Jeddah just after I arrived. My Estero, I got my festival launcher and my fireworks. I'm ready to go. Um, I've already done a number of days. For those who either are or aren't familiar, the daily challenges come up in your client. And what those are, they're parade grounds that they set up for the party, for the celebration. And what you're celebrating essentially is the renovation of Jeddah, not just the station. And I'll show you pictures in a minute, but the whole area around Jeddah has been redone, and it's magnificent. It's just magnificent. But they have these daily challenges. The first couple of them were in Jeddah itself, in the Jeddah solar system, and they were Caldari uh, parade. So it was a Titan, one or two Caldari Titans, a bunch of other capital ships, dreadnoughts, and stuff like that, and then dozens and dozens of subcapitals arrayed out in the parade ground. And what you did was you fly out there, and you lock up the Titan, and the minute you fire your first rocket, your first round of fireworks, you get a prize. You get a prize box. Um, and if just a technical note, if you happen to do this and you don't immediately get your prize box, sometimes you have to dock up to get it. And then the first one I did, I had to actually log off and then log back into my client, and then it appeared in my um, in the very bottom left hand corner of your client. There's a place where all your gifts, your daily gifts, and all the other things that you've earned free from CCP appear, and you'll see a little red dot. You'll know you got it because there'll be a red dot on that box, and then you open it up and you'll get your prize. So there have been some glitches. There's a lot of lag in system. This afternoon when I went in to get these screenshots, there were 2,000 people in the station and almost 2,500 people in local. And that's a lot even for Jeddah. That's a fair amount of people. So a lot of people coming out to the Jeddah renovation party. So there I am, and this is today's. I didn't get any really good screenshots of the other fireworks challenges I've done, but today's challenge was in Minmatar space. After we did 2 days of Jeddah, we did a couple of days in Galente space, and there was a Galente Titan and a Galente parade ground. and you shot at it and you got prizes. And then today's challenge was in Minmatar space, and I don't know how long this actually goes on. I have no clue. Um, one could assume that there'd be at least 3 more days because that would be one more day of Minmatar space challenge and then a couple of days in a Mars space because there haven't been any challenges in a Mars space. Although maybe the Amarians don't want to participate. I mean, the lore of the game would have it such that Amar is actually a competing trading post. The EFA station in Amar Prime is a sort of a competitor of Jita, so maybe they're not going to participate. I really don't know how long it's going to go on. Today there were a fair amount of people shooting fireworks actually at Jita, and I assume when that reaches some sort of crescendo, that's when that'll be the finale. I really don't know. It's hard to tell. Um, the blog posts and stuff like that don't really give a lot of the details as far as what to expect. Um, but there's a lot of people in the system. There's a lot of people shooting fireworks actually at the station, but more people participating in this. And so this is today over in Minmatar space. So there you see, I have just arrived in my little Estero, and you can see the Minmatar Titan, the ugly uh, Ragnarok, uh, probably the ugliest Titan. And you can see over to the left in the left hand corner, you can see the parade ground laid out. Those are all those little dots in the bottom left hand corner. They're sort of you can almost see them encircled by a blast of fireworks. But way in the distance, you can see the little dots there laid out in rows. Those are the subcapitals. And then we have some dreadnoughts there on either side, sort of honor guard to the Ragnarok. And then there's, I think, another capital in the background there. But the one that the Estero is actually facing, that's the one I had to lock up and fire on. And so there's another view, a little bit backed up. This is when some other people arrived. I sort of waited for a little while, and maybe about 10 or 15 people showed up in system to do their daily challenges, their get their prizes. And so once it really got going, that's when I grabbed this screenshot here. You can see that there's a lot of rounds going off, and these 4x4 rounds, these fireworks that they give you, they're pretty. They're pretty large rounds. I'm definitely going to save some back for my collection before I'm done because they definitely make a hell of a display. Just a single round really blows up really quite big, and so if you get like 10 or so people, which is about what this is here, about 10 people firing on the Ragnarok, you can see where it just pretty much blanked out. I mean, everything else like sort of around it. So there you go. We'll do another. I got some more shots here. And that's when I pulled back a little bit, kind of like that shot. I'm getting pretty good now at doing these screenshots. I sort of practiced this week and have mastered it. And um, this will be in my blog too. I have a blog called Flying, aptly enough, called Flying Internet Spaceships. And I'll be doing a blog post definitely. I've been working for weeks now on my post about the war. And we're going to talk about the war in a little bit. But uh, I've been definitely. I will do a blog post on this Jita 4x4 renovation space party, I guess you'd call it. Um, so yeah, and so that's the fireworks, and I got my prize. You take your box back, and it's usually so far it's been a skin and a piece of clothing, and I got kind of unlucky. My first two, I think, were women's pants for my clothes. I love clothes. The second only to fireworks, I love having nice clothes. I've been actually spending money in Jeter like a drunk sailor because I don't hardly ever get out to Jeter. I live uh, about 33 jumps away in Galhan. So I've been buying clothing just because you get good deals. You can get clothes you can't get anywhere else. Certainly, you can't get a lot of cool clothes in Galhan. So I've been spending money like a drunk sailor. But and then on finally, I managed to get a cool prize, and I'll show it to you in a bit. I got a uh, a suit, and I'm telling you, I look dapper. So, but I don't want to. I don't want to spoil it. But I'll show you a picture of my new suit. So I got that for free on one of the prizes. Today, I think I got crew pants, Jita crew pants. They're kind of ugly. I guess I'll hold on to them maybe. Oh no, I think I already sold mine actually. They're kind of ugly. Didn't really like them that much. And the skins I've been pretty much selling as well. Although I've gotten some decent money. One skin I got almost 16 million for, and that's considering that lots of people are getting them for free and dumping them on the market as well. So pretty much got good money for the prizes that I didn't want to keep. And I think the only one I really wanted to keep actually was the suit. And I'll show that to you in a minute. So today what I did is I went out to get a bunch of screenshots of all these festivities. So I'm going to sort of share those with you. It's kind of like the uncle who you go over to his house, right, and he forces you to watch all of his hideous, an hour-long slideshow of all of his hideous pictures. But hopefully these came out kind of cool. But so what I did was I went out and I undocked from Jita and I manually piloted around the complex trying to grab up cool screenshots. And it's a lot of fun for a lot of different reasons. It's a huge complex, so it's really fun to just sort of fly manually around and check out the different stuff. And then as we get into it, I'll show you, you can actually fly. I don't know how to describe this. You can fly into the station itself. It is so fucking huge now um, that you can fly into the inside of the station, which is pretty fun and amazing. But let's look at the first one. So there I am, like I'm sort of just undocking. That's the undock from Cheetah. You can see all the new billboards and everything. It looks very commercial. It looks very much like you really get this feeling like you're in a sort of shopping mall or whatever, and you've got all the billboards and whatnot. The station looks very very slick. It's kind of cool because I have the SOE. What do they call it? The um, blue cell skin, and it almost perfectly matches the color of Jita in the surroundings. So I kind of picked the right ship and the right skin for the party. Now, this complex here, this is the moon mining complex. Just as you undock, as you're coming straight out of the station from the undock, you'll see a station, and you can actually see my Astero just underneath in the shot, but I'm still quite far away from it. And that is the moon mining station, and you can't really make it out in this picture. I can sort of because I know where it is, but there's a cable. So they have, if you've ever read in sort of science fiction books and stuff like that, there's the idea of a space elevator, right? The idea that you could actually run a cable from a planet or a moon all the way up into space. And this is, physics. You can do this. It's possible. I mean, someday I really think that we'll have space elevators here on Earth. It's a much cheaper way to get into orbit than launching very large chemical rockets. But anyway, you can just barely there see the cable. There's a cable that reaches all the way down to this huge complex that you can see on the surface of the moon. And that complex, that little facility there is dockable. And my understanding is it's primarily for moon mining industry. Like you would, I guess, process your moon mining stuff, and you could do maybe manufacturing and stuff like that in that facility. So it's a dockable structure dedicated sort of to, I guess, specifically moon mining industry, I would assume, although I didn't dock up. I'm going to get some more pictures and we'll do another segment on Vegeta 4x4 thing on Monday, where I'll get some more screenshots and I'll dock up to some of these structures because there's another one too coming up, another structure, sort of a business center that is actually behind Jita. I'm actually in front now, and what I'm going to attempt to do as I leave this facility is I'm going to attempt to circumnavigate Jita. I'm going to fly all the way, almost all the way around the station. So now I've managed to get all the way around to the back side of Jita. And that is that structure that you see there on sort of the mid right hand side of the shot is the very famous previous Jita monument. And you can see it's kind of broken up, right? It's kind of looks kind of wrecked and melted. Even if you get up close, you can see where it's actually even melted, which is almost physically impossible. It's made out of solid tritium, which doesn't actually melt. Um, it's almost virtually impossible to melt it, but in this case, you'll see actual scorch marks and melting on it, and it's all broken up. And that monument has been left as is. It's actually, for those not familiar, it's a monument to a giant protest that they had a number of years ago. CCP had made some changes in the game, and these changes turned out to be very, very unpopular, so unpopular that they had a giant in-game protest called Burn Jita. And so I've seen video of it, and like just thousands and thousands of ships converged and began just tearing up the entire system. They were shooting each other, they were shooting the structures, and most of their ire and their fire from their ships were directed at this monument, which used to be in front of the old Cheetah. It's now in back of the new Cheetah, but it used to be in front. And they were firing on it, just thousands of ships firing. And of course, it wasn't. First of all, it's a CCP structure. So it was, it can just be magically made impossible to damage. But then the lore behind that was it was made out of a metal. I can't remember if it's tritium or some other metal that is virtually indestructible in the Eve universe. Um, so it would have been, I guess, in theory, pretty much impossible to damage this structure. But CCP finally settled the disagreement with the players. They negotiated with the protesters, and then as a sort of a monument, I don't know whether it was one of the demands of the players, the protesters, or if it was just something CCP thought would be cool to do. But they allowed the structure to become damaged and then left it that way as a sort of perpetual monument to their own folly and to the power of the people, the power of online protest. I mean, even in this universe, even in this simulation, people getting together and protesting is a very powerful thing. And so that monument has remained, and they've moved it from behind Jita, from in front of Jita to behind Jita. So yeah. Now, this complex is immediately behind Jeter as well. It's a little bit further back from the monument, the old monument. It's a business center, and it's also a dockable station. Again, I haven't docked in these and checked them out. I'm going to do that for Monday's show. I was actually kind of pressed for time right up before this show, getting just these shots. But this is the business center. It's immediately behind Jita. And I would assume that it will focus on things like trade and business, right? I don't know. I guess that would be the thing. Cheetah doesn't actually have a clone bay in the actual Cheetah 4x4, the main station. So maybe this one would have a clone bay. That would be something I would anticipate when I dock up and check it out. That way, people could actually live here in the complex because that wasn't possible before. Gita 4x4, as far as I know, has never had a medical clone bay, so you couldn't actually make it your home station. This may facilitate that as well. So something interesting to check out. The business center. It's immediately behind Cheetah. I'm going to dock up this weekend. Probably today and tomorrow. I'm going to spend a lot more time exploring this whole area and actually docking in these, as far as I can tell, two structures: the moon mining thing out front, and then this structure out back. I haven't discovered any other structures laying around. So, but these are, as far as I know, these are new. This is all new stuff um, in the immediate vicinity of the main Cheetah trade hub. And here's my best effort at one big shot of the whole thing. I love it. I mean, you got to see it on high def. I think I'm going to make it my desktop for a while because it came out really good. I'm getting a little bit better at this space photography thing, but that's an idea, and you can't even imagine how much smaller the original Jita was. But it would have been like if you were to overlay the two, it would only be like it would only cover like the middle section, like a little blob in the middle of that huge complex. It's really it's so big, and I'm going to show you in a minute as we get into some more of the pictures. You can actually fly inside of the the thing. I mean, without docking, you can actually just fly in amongst all those towers, and there's cupolas. I don't know how you pronounce it, cupolas. These wonderful domes, glass domes that are in there, and I managed to get in there. I managed to fly the Astero right up inside the thing, and you can fly all in amongst all of that. It's that huge. So, but that's a beautiful shot. I really like that one. I think it's one of the best ones I've seen of the entire new sort of station. And so now in my sort of manual like I said again, I was manually flying the Astero, trying to circumnavigate the entire station, see what kind of trouble I could get into. And I've now this shot here, I've made it all the way to the back. This is the very back side of the Cheetah complex. Again, behind me, if you could like sort of look, if you had eyes in the back of my head right now, behind me is that old monument, the old Cheetah monument, and the new business center station that I just showed a second ago. And now what I'm going to try to do, as I've been saying, you can fly into the friggin' station, like not dock. I mean, like you can fly around inside the fucking thing. And so I knew this ahead of time, and that's what I'm going to. As you're looking at this shot, I'm about to attempt it, hopefully without running into anything. My manual piloting skills are so so. I managed to only brush the side of it once or twice, but I'm going to get in there, and you'll see in a second here. So here I am just about, now I'm actually entering, like I said, entering the station, but without docking. I'm flying in, it's hard to explain, but the thing is so big. I'm flying into the station, and you can see docking bays in the station. Like those are not external docking bays. They don't face outward into space. They face inward into the station. So like if you're in there, which this happened at the end of my little tour, if you're in there and you choose to dock up, you dock into one of those bays. You don't, they're, these are it's incredible. It's incredible, and it's so fucking huge. So I think there's at least one, I'm not sure how many, but there's at least one of these gigantic glass domes. And that's a shot of it. And it is so big that you can fly your ship up inside of that thing. It's not a little thing. It's, I don't know, I'm just taking a wild guess, 20 kilometers across, maybe 10 at least. And you can't even see my ship. I had to zoom out so far just to get in the shot. I'm actually right up on the side of this dome, but it is so gigantic you can't even see the Astero anymore. And I could have flown under that and then up inside the glass. And I'm gonna get more and better shots for Monday's show and do stuff like that. I was kind of in a rush today to get these, um, but that's it, there's at least one of these glass domes in the complex, and like I said, I've seen pictures of it and seen it on other people's streams, but it just doesn't do it justice until you're sitting there in a ship. I mean, you could fly a battleship up into that thing and still have room to to maneuver and fly around. I mean, easily you would be just like a dot in that glass structure, that glass dome. Quite breathtaking. And by this point, you're in the very heart of the Jita complex. When you're in this, you're in the very center of it, and it's just these gigantic towers that are kilometers and kilometers high all around you. There's ships moving around. There's other ships flying around. There was people shooting fireworks off inside the station, like you're in the station now and flying around in it, and there were people firing fireworks off in the station. Just breathtaking. And so here's one last shot I took, one last zoom out. You can still see the dome just barely there in the very center of the shot, but I went out as far as I could. This is as far as the client would zoom out. The Astero is still actually just right there alongside of that dome that you can sort of make out in the very center of the shot. But you are literally, this is inside the Cheetah complex. You're flying around inside the station. And there's so many other places to fly around in there. I mean, I just went straight to the glass dome. I knew it was there and I wanted to get pictures of it. But I mean, you can fly all down around and in through there. There are, I don't know what you'd call them, alleyways or spaces in between the towers. I mean, there's just all sorts of places to explore. And I have a feeling there's a lot of Easter eggs up in there. I mean, I really want to take a whole afternoon flying through the inside of this station just to see what sort of other surprises um, lie in wait in there. Because my gut feeling is there's a lot of neat stuff in there that myself and a lot, even other streamers haven't really explored the inside of this complex. But it's still just to recap, I am flying around in my ship inside of the Cheetah Trade Hub. It's that huge. And so my next shot is I got my prize. I told you guys I got my parade prize. And there's only one of them that I saved because I loved it. But I just got to show you this. I love clothes. Next to fireworks and touring and doing stuff like this, like being sort of a space tourist, I go to all the sort of Empire events, which this sort of reminds me of, but it's so much bigger than the Empire events as far as length and duration and the amount of people and also the amount of exciting stuff to see and explore. But I go to all of those, and I'm known. People who know me know I collect fireworks. I have tens of thousands of rounds at home in Galhan. I packed the Estero full, the cargo hold full, to come to this, and I'm going to end up using them all. Uh, but next to that kind of stuff, I love clothing. I really do love the bling. I love the clothes, and so I've been buying because I don't get to Cheetah very often. I live 33 jumps away. I've been buying clothes like a drunken sailor in the market, right, to take home. But you guys got to check this out. This was free. This is what I got on my second challenge, doing the parade ground challenges. Now, how about them apples, baby? Now that is one fucking nice looking suit. I don't care what anybody says. That is one dapper suit, and I liked it so much. I'm kind of commonly tend to wear sunglasses in my when I dress up my avatar, and I've never owned a pair of eyeglasses. I do wear spectacles in real life, and uh, I dropped 47, what is it, 49 million on those spectacles just to get that shot the way I wanted it. So those glasses that you see me wearing, they call them the Farsight glasses, Farsight spectacles. I paid 49 million for those spectacles, but I think I look fucking dapper as hell, man. And there's sort of the full body shot of that same suit. So that was free. I got that suit, and they're already selling. People are dumping them in Cheetah for 35 million. I predict that it'll go way higher than that. It'll be in the hundreds of millions once the sort of the giveaways are over and the price starts to settle in. Um, that'll be that'll be hundreds of millions of ISK for that suit. And I got that for free. I got that for firing a single round at I believe it was the Galente parade ground challenge a couple of days ago that I got that suit. And to be honest with you, I mean, there's more prizes, there's more challenges to go. And I already mentioned that I got a bunch of duds that I didn't really like. I just sold them and made a lot of ISK action. I made about 25 million so far selling the prizes that I didn't want. But if that's the only fucking prize that I get, I'm going home a happy fucking camper because that is one nice looking fucking suit. So anyway, there you go. There's my tour of cheetah so far. I'm going to get more pictures. The one thing that I missed that I hunted for it while I was flying in around and amongst the station is the new monument because I showed pictures of the old monument, the one that got destroyed during the Burn Cheetah protest a bunch of years ago. That has been moved to behind the station. But I wanted to find a new one because the new one is an exact duplicate of the one that they put up in Iceland, in Reykjavik. Um, and it's got stuff, there's sort of a projection of words, a holographic projection in front of it and stuff. And it's really nice. And I couldn't find it. So I got to spend some more time. And like I said, I'm going to do another Jita space party segment on Monday at 6 p.m. Well, we're going to do a show on Monday, every Monday from now on, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's called Meerkat Monday, and it'll be about the economics of Eve and New Eden. But I'll do a segment on G to 4x4 because I think this is huge. This is part of the economics. I mean, this is the heartbeat of the economy of Eve, which is magical on a lot of levels because it's literally everything is created by us, created by the players. So, um, that's, this trade hub has always been vital to Eve. I remember when I got into Eve Echoes and the very first day that they turned the server on for Eve Echoes and everybody, the minute they logged in to Eve Echoes, flew to Jita, and for no real reason. I mean, it isn't, in a brand new universe like Eve Echoes, it was just another station. It was just another NPC station. There was absolutely nothing special or any reason why everybody should have gone to Jita that day. But there were so many people in Eve Echoes traveling to Jita that they had to shut the gates down for long periods of time. And that in itself became actually a tourist attraction in Eve Echoes. There were so many people backed up trying to get into Jeddah that people were flying out there just to see all those ships gathered around the Stargate. So Jeddah immediately, instantly, from day one, became the central trade hub in Eve Echoes in a brand new universe. So Jeet is an important thing, and it's a great party. I mean, thousands and thousands of people participating, lots of great stuff to see. You get the fireworks for your daily login. Those are really good fireworks, by the way. They're very uh, big boom booms fireworks. And you get the parade ground challenges. If you follow them up and you go out there, you shoot a single round at a certain Titan, and then you get a box. And you never know what's going to be in the box, but it could be a really cool suit like this. So I recommend everybody go on. I have no idea how much longer it's going to go on. I mean, definitely it's going to go through tomorrow, and then I don't know if it goes into next week still. or what. One interesting clue is that not all the scaffolding has been taken down off Cheetah. There are still just a few pieces of scaffolding, and you can still see the, I don't know what you'd want to call it, the little rays when something is being built. Um, like you used to see all over Cheetah, like the whole thing was all these like little wavy rays as the thing was being uh, manufactured, and you can still see just some glimmers of that. So technically speaking, um, Cheetah 4x4 is not finished yet. So this could go on for a little bit. But go on down there. If you haven't gone down there, I'm basing out of Cheetah for this whole thing. I just think it's amazing and a lot of fun. So can't recommend it enough. So one of the things I want to talk about next is they've done an exciting thing for people like me. Like last week, I talked about um, the browser Opera GX, which is the gaming browser, and I extolled its virtues primarily because it saves a lot of resources. And I'm on a decent laptop. It's a high-end business machine that was technically rated for gaming, but it's not like anything like a real gaming machine. And resources, saving resources and whatnot is always an important thing to me, and it's why I reviewed that browser last week. But this week, CCP announced, and I'm going to bring it up here. Just give me a second. So CCP announced that they have done some work on the client, and I don't know why it's doing that. Hold on. Hold on. Let's get it up. There we go. So CCP has done some work on the client, and they've also introduced a new feature that will allow them to continue to improve this the client in regard to specifically memory. And I'm going to read part of what they have to say here about it. Go skip right to this part. As part of the continuing work to strengthen the foundations of Eve as it goes into its third decade, imagine that. We're about to go into the third decade. We're going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary real soon. A couple of years, I guess. Um, I guess technically, what would it be? Be 2023. So 2 more years. Um, it depends on when they demarcate it, when they decide it's the anniversary, right? But anyway, as we go into the third decade, a further step is being taken to improve client memory performance. While these memory improvements will benefit everyone, they help more dramatically in situations where there will be many different assets loaded by the client, such as large fleet fights that were mentioned above. They talk above the article. They talk about um, the big battle, the Fury at FWS. I guess they're calling it now, but the record-breaking battle. I was actually in that battle. I died a lot, but and so, since large fleets are not always available when they need them, they have designed a specific stress test, and they call this the cube of death. So you can see a screenshot of it there, um, and it's just essentially a way on. I guess this would be on the test server to be able to load lots and lots of assets as if it were a fleet battle, and this will help them to do uh, make improvements. They've already made some improvements. So we'll talk about that in a second. The Cube of Death features 1,000 ships. We'll talk about what we're getting so far. Um, so far, they said when people discuss the RAM, generally talk about system memory, but it's important to understand the difference. GPU memory is used to store scene textures, meshes, and other graphics-related data. In a normal desktop PC with a dedicated graphics card, GPU memory is located on the graphics card itself, as it is with my computer. When you choose higher graphical settings, which I always do, I love to look at it in its prettiest. Uh, it will use more GPU, and I pretty much max out my GPU when I'm playing Eve. So And then the system memory is everything else that the game needs to run. Everything from the Python interpreter to the sounds, the networking, the input from the keyboard, the localization engine, on and on. While GPU and system memory will see an improvement to memory use, the big winner in this change, this particular change that they've come out with, is the system memory. In the current version of the Eve client, the Cube of Death scene uses about 3,600 megabyte of system memory. After the change that I believe they've already dropped it, um, the memory usage went down to 3,000 megabytes. So that's a 600 megabyte saving of memory, or about 17% decrease in the memory use of the client. Now, I might be hallucinating, but I believe this is already dropped because I'm seeing considerable better performance on my client from this change already. But I could be wrong, but I believe that the first change that they've done from this has already dropped. Also, as part of the uh, continuing process to do this, you might have noticed if you go into your, and I'll bring mine up now, but if you look on your task manager, you'll see under the Eve category in the details of your task manager that it's not just the launcher and the client running anymore. There's a third thing running. It's called Eve Mon, and it's a monitor. And what it's doing is it's monitoring all of this performance related stuff and sending back information to Eve to allow them, as part of this ongoing process, to continue to improve the client as far as memory usage. Um, this is, I think that, and this is just my gut feeling, this is part of an overall program to really tackle performance, especially with the big battles. And I think that they were already doing this sort of stuff before the Fury at FWS battle took place. But I feel like that sort of put the gun to their heads. That sort of was the wake up call, winning that Guinness Book of World Record and everything. And I would think, I mean, I don't know for sure. I don't have any insiders in CCP or anything like that, but I would think that eventually they'd like to do away with all lag. They'd like to do away with all tie dye and just have it be, smooth like glass. Why would you not want that, right? So I think that this is their ongoing program to begin heading in that direction. I mean, it talks again in here about the 64-bit client. I remember when that came out. I did most of my Eve career on a 32-bit client before the 64-bit was even a dream. And the difference is night and day, obviously, with the 64-bit client. But definitely this improvement, this 17% improvement for system memory, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the change already. And they talk about in this article here, and you can see it on the Eve Online dev blog. It's called Memory Improvements. And it's just I think that's a great program that they're doing. It looks like they're really rolling up their sleeves and getting busy on attempting to, make this client even better and making the game even better. I think, like I said, more so than ever since the big war and these big battles became sort of a thing. So yeah, and let's see, what else do I want to talk about today? So one of the things I want to talk about is the amount of players that have become a part of Eve in the last year. And they came out with, there's an article that I'm going to show you here. So this article is by Pocket Gamer. I don't know why I have so much trouble with my browser. It's a pretty short article. Um, but what it goes into, they're interviewing the CCP marketing manager for Eve Echoes. But in general, they're talking about the changes. And for the first time, we get some real concrete numbers about how things like COVID have affected concurrent players and permanent players, like people getting Omega subscriptions and stuff like that. We get some solid numbers in this article from that, and also the what's known as the halo effect, what I call the knock-on effect that Eve Echoes has had for Eve Online. And it's a really interesting article. Um, yeah, I'll throw the URL here. And so let's get into some numbers here because they actually give some concrete numbers that I found really fascinating. Talks about the big battle, first of all. Everybody's going to keep talking about that. Every article they write about EVE Online. Oh, and by the way, 6,557 people on grid, world record, yada, yada. Um, so they ask about, he asked me, he said, what has been the effect of COVID? And obviously, COVID has had a massive impact on our users. It's had a massive impact on the entire world. For EVE Online, there was a 53% increase in daily active players due to coronavirus back when the lockdown was first implemented. And we're going now into a second wave of COVID. There's no doubt about it. When you look at the worldwide numbers, they're worse now in a lot of places than they were during the first wave. And already countries are realizing that they're going to have to lock down again. I've stayed in lockdown. I live in the mountains, so it's pretty easy for me. I have my groceries delivered. I live in Mexico. Things are cheap here. So I live alone. I'm just up here in the mountains with my two dogs, and that's where I stay because of this virus, especially here in Latin America. The numbers are almost as bad as the USA um, as far as the amount of people catching this thing. So 53% increase in daily active users that they attribute in EVE Online to the first lockdown. I would suspect that that is probably nearing 60% now. Like I said, we're going into a second wave. We're going into a second, not only a wave of the COVID, but wave of lockdowns. And it's the lockdowns, obviously, that are producing this effect. It goes on to say, meanwhile, monthly active users also saw a rise during the pandemic of 45%. So that's a 45% that are monthly active users, not the daily. Um, Moreover, thanks to the launch of Eve Echoes, the mobile version, there was a 6% increase in monthly active users. When it came to the mobile game, there was a 26% increase in alpha accounts and a 6.7% rise in omega accounts. So he kind of mixes up two different things here. We can kind of break this down. So what he's talking about is the halo effect, the knock-on effect from Eve Echoes into Eve Online was 6% for monthly active users. But then within Eve Echoes, the COVID effect was a 20. They're attributing 20%, 26% increase in alpha accounts being formed because of COVID, and a 6.7% rise in omega accounts within Eve Echoes itself. Um, it goes on. Furthermore, these numbers are fascinating to me. We've never really had concrete numbers be released like this, so I think this is a very interesting article. Furthermore, the biggest increase in cohorts has occurred in long-term players, some of which have played for over a year. Um, and they're saying that this is due to reactivations because of primarily because of the COVID lockdowns. So they're seeing a big increase, the biggest increase of all of these numbers that we've talked about have been not new players coming into the game, um, but reactivations, people coming back. Um, so yeah, there have been a vast amount of reactivations for the game from older players. That's a quote from Cormoxon, who is the Eve marketing director for Eve Echoes. But they're talking about both games. COVID-19 and Eve Echoes have had a significant impact on the number of new players that Eve Online has seen. Due to the number of new players and the reactivations, there was a 100% increase in first-time purchases, and I assume that means of Omega, and a 65% increase after the launch of Eve Echoes. So to break that number down, they kind of mix the numbers up here, but they're saying that there was a 100% increase in Eve Online purchases because of the COVID, and maybe an additional 65% increase after the launch of Eve Echoes as the halo effect of this is new purchases, brand new people Omegaing for the first time. So he sort of ends the article. EVE Online has a good retention for late stages, but a poor retention for new players, which is why we do a show on Sunday about the new player experience, because that is where you got to grab them. Old players like myself, I'm gonna die literally playing EVE Online, but it's the new players that I think we need to do everything we can to try to keep them. So we actually dedicate a show. It'll be Sunday tomorrow. Excuse me. Sunday show will be dedicated to that. And I think this is a good segue into another topic I wanted to talk about. There's another article here. So we're going to talk about Project Discovery because that was a topic that I guess was quite popular last week. There was even some of our hosts and some of our panel, our guests, had never even realized that Project Discovery had been retooled and was now being used to try to cure COVID-19. But this article is from the New Eden Meta paper that comes out. If you, I recommend you look them up, follow them. I'm going to go ahead and throw the URL real quick. So in recently, we talked last week about it. I'm going to I'll do a whole segment on this about Project Discovery, but this game never ceases to amaze me. First of all, it's the largest MPORG. I mean, a lot of people say it's the largest space MPORG in history. I personally doubt there's any MMO or MPORG out there that tops the numbers that EVE Online has. So it's this gigantic gaming community, this huge gaming community, but they are so socially conscious that it blows me away. I mean, the original Project Discovery, which was about searching for exoplanets, going through the mass data sets that were coming down from the new generation of telescopes, space telescopes, that data, those giant data sets are useless for without people to search through them. And in this case, not only were you searching for exoplanets and finding them, but you were able to train an AI to eventually take over and hopefully do a lot of that work. And so, it's wonderful that Eve is such a game that you can crowdsource the players' leisure time in the game. It's the type of game that does have leisure time. You're sitting around mining, you're sitting around trading, you're sitting around doing manufacturing, and that energy, that spare time, which we spend a lot of it talking to each other and maybe watching Twitch videos, but that energy can also be harnessed in game through sort of by making, the way I like to think of it is you make all the players into a giant supercomputer and solve these really big problems. Like I said, the original Project Discovery was about solving, finding exoplanets. And so I just want to point out these articles. So not only do we have Project Discovery now retooled and I'm going to show some pictures and actually break down how it's been retooled to try to cure COVID-19. So you've got people earning ISK in game and earning prizes in game to again become sort of a giant supercomputer to help analyze data that directly is very beneficial to scientists. The scientists that talk about the Project Discovery say there's very, very few other avenues that they could think of to get the kind of data that they're getting right now out of Project Discovery. to cure COVID. But I just want to point this out. These articles, there's two articles in here. It's called Plex for Good. They've done this program before for other things, but not in a while. And so they raised 130,000, and that's just players just literally just giving Plex, just donating Plex in game. And CCP has raised over 130,000 for relief efforts for COVID-19. So what a great community! I mean, some of the worst scoundrels and scumbags even that I've ever met in my life, I've met inside of EVE Online. But at the same time, what an incredibly socially conscious community that they to do these things. And that's a fair amount of money for a game. I mean, it's just a game. I mean, people go, oh well, it's not millions of dollars, but you know what? That's a lot of money, and that comes out of people's pockets, and that comes out at a time when the economics of things. A lot of people are having a hard time right now. A lot of people are probably struggling just to omega their account. And a lot of them aren't omega in their account. A lot of people can't omega because of the hard economic times caused by COVID. So I think that's a fair amount of money for a bunch of space pilots, internet space pilots, to raise out of their own pockets. I'm pretty proud of CCP and proud of all of us for having done that. So yeah, on with the show. Um, I guess that's a good segue to talk about Project Discovery because I took a bunch of screenshots today. We talked about it last week. It has been retooled um, to benefit COVID research, and I'm going to show the screenshots and then describe, uh, in my layman's terms, how and what they are doing. So, this is Project Discovery. And when you begin one of these projects, one of these analysis, and essentially, I guess I'll talk about, like I said, in my layman's terms, what is going on here. And what they do is these are blood samples. And the blood is forced through a tiny capillary so small that the cells line up one in front of the other. And they push the blood and the cells and everything else that's in the blood through this capillary, one cell at a time. And what happens is as these cells, I guess, exit the tube, they will tend to group up in such a way that um, cells of the same kind will group together. So white blood cells will group together, red blood cells will group together, viruses, viral uh, particulates and viruses will group together. So COVID will, if there's COVID in the blood, it will group together. And then there's other stuff. There's antibodies that will also tend to group together, and it's all sort of an emergent phenomenon, I guess, if you will, of pushing pushing people's blood through this tiny little capillary. It's called cytometry, I think, cellular cytometry. But what happens is it produces these images. It produces it doing this cytometry, pushing this blood through, and then having it pool up, and the different cells pool up together of a certain kind. It produces images like this. This is a real blood sample that I'm about to analyze. This really happened. It's a real deal. And so it forms initially when you do one of these analyses. This is what you see. So here you see now where I have gone ahead and you use polygons. You use a tool. It's on the end of your mouse pointer. And you drop these lines, these polygon lines, around. And what you're trying to do is, first of all, you want to have no dots outside of the polygon. So you want to capture all the dots within polygons. Um, that's why you can see me kind of going wide there. I'm kind of making sure that some of those far-flung ones on the left are going to get captured in. And then what I'm trying to do, as best as I can as a human being, is to say how many groups of cells I see. And now you can see that what I've captured, the picture, is actually up on the middle section. You can see the first picture shows, and I'll be damned, but that does look a lot like a COVID virus. I mean, that could definitely be a COVID that I've isolated. So it actually shows you a photo of the group that you've isolated. And I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not a scientist. It doesn't actually tell you what the cells are, it just shows you an image of them. But that does look an awful lot like a fucking COVID. So that's the first group I isolated there. And here I've gone ahead and isolated what I believe in my own eyes. And bear in mind, I've got about a 98% accuracy rate. I'm at level like 30 now, I think, or something like that, in the program. So I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these analysis, and I've got a if usually when I'm on my game, I get about a 98% accuracy rate. And this test right here, I scored 99.7% on this particular test. So this is a pretty good demonstration of what you're going to be doing. And so I've gone ahead and isolated what I feel is now another group. And sure enough, a picture came up, and it kind of looked like a little bit of a antibody thing going on there, perhaps a white blood cell grouping. Really hard to tell, but you see the second picture. In the middle column there, you see the second picture arrives after I isolate another group. And there can be multiple groups. I think the most I've ever found in one shot was four groupings. Usually it's two. The majority is two, occasionally three, but on a very rare occasion, you can actually have up to four groups of these that you have to draw these polygons around. And so I've pretty much isolated all of them. I've got all the dots are contained within one of the two polygons, and I'm going to submit it and see what happens. So there, I've submitted it. I scored 99.7% on that particular analysis, and I received 99,000 ISK. And it took me less than 10 seconds to do that. So that's 99,000 ISK for 10 seconds worth of work. So you can see how this can really add up. Like if you really, if you're grinding, say you're mining or whatever, and you want to kill some time, um, you can make. It's not unreasonable to make a million ISK a minute doing this. It really depends on how concentrated you are, how good you are at it, because your ISK starts to go down if your accuracy falls off. So, um, so yeah, but it's not impossible to make about a million ISK. Once you get up to your levels, get to like level 25 to 30, not impossible to make a million ISK a minute um, doing project discovery. And you get prizes as you go up through levels. You get skins, you get clothing. There's all sorts of prizes as you go from level to level in project discovery. So that's it. And what you're doing here is you're analyzing these. These are real blood samples. But to my knowledge, you're not so much analyzing them for the actual patient. I could be wrong, but I think what we're doing is we're training an AI on real blood samples. We're training an AI program to eventually be able to do this itself, some reasonable approximation of this itself, so that millions of people could be analyzed, and the software itself could then take over this part of it and delineate these groupings and identify. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I just identified some COVID there at the top. So um, So there you go. That's Project Discovery. Just another example of how socially conscious, Eve Online is and Eve players and everything. And I was surprised during last week's show that some of the veteran players didn't realize that this is what Project Discovery was doing now, with their newest turn towards COVID. And so, it's a great way to make money, great way to get prizes, and who knows? I mean, this could actually be the thing that helps to cure COVID. And the scientists are loving it. I've read a lot of articles about this new project discovery, and the scientists that are receiving this data are so fucking grateful. They're like, man, we don't know any other way that we could have crowdsourced this. I mean, we would have had to pay people to do this. And here, you've got EVE Online players just ponying up to do one analysis after another. They literally, when you hear the scientists talk about this data set that EVE Online players are generating through this, they're like, this is priceless. This is absolutely priceless shit. So yeah. Still no sign of my faithful co-host. I guess everybody's going to blow me off. You know what? I bet everybody's watching the tournament. The Eve NT is doing their big tournament today. I'm not sure if they finished or not, so we're probably competing with some other really exciting streams. But if you're watching this on YouTube on the archive, hopefully it'll still be interesting and fun. Up next, we're going to talk about the war, guys, and the big war, World War B2. And I'm going to tell you that I'm in the war. I'm cannon fodder. Um, I flew out from Galhan at the very beginning of the war, just a minor in his venture. I went to the war front. I joined up with Pandemic Horde. I believe passionately in the purpose of this war, which is to lay the Imperium and specifically the Goon Swarm low. I think that in general, that organization is bad for the game. I know a lot of people who are in Goon Swarm as individuals. They are my friends and they're decent enough people, but I think that Goon Swarm and the Imperium in general is bad for the game. Um, their culture is toxic, especially towards new players and people who just want to, fly internet spaceships and be left the fuck alone. People like myself. I've had run-ins with that in my early days. I got ganked by Goonies, but I think my main motivation is the leadership. I think that, I mean, Brisk Rubel is a reasonably toxic individual, and I really not one of my favorite people. But Matani, no, Ash is even more toxic than Brisk, and Matani is absolutely one of the worst human beings in Eve Online. Literally one of the worst human beings in Eve Online. Um, he has encouraged people to attack other players, encourage them to get them to try to commit suicide. I suffer from mental illness, and that's serious fucking business, man. You just don't do that, man. You don't do that, and when you do that at an Eve convention in front of an audience, and we're gonna see a video. We're gonna watch one of the memes, and it actually has the video where Matani got up in front of a crowd of people at an Eve conference and encouraged people to to attack this guy by name and encourage him to commit suicide. And like I said, as somebody who suffers from mental illness, somebody who takes that very, very seriously, that to me is an unforgivable sin. That somebody who does that in such a public way, somebody who has so much power and influence in Eve, and they do that, there's no coming back from that in my view. There's no forgiveness for that. You just need to go. And so that's my motivation for fighting in this war. That's my passion for this war. That's why I sent my Alpha Alt to the war. I'm prepared to dedicate a year for that tune, my Alpha tune, in the war, and I'm prepared to spend $1 billion of my own money on the war. I don't even take um, the ship replacement program, I don't even indulge in that. I'm self-financed and I'm prepared to spend $1 billion to see this war through. Um, on the news, you can get much better news, and we won't go in depth into the news that much because you can get better news at Talking in Stations. Ron USMC is another great place to find, the live coverage. I know as a fighter, as like I said, a very low level lineman, cannon fodder in the war, we're doing really well. Um, we're making huge inroads into Delve. We're destroying structures. We're flipping eye hubs like crazy. Um, I don't know the exact details, but I know that Matani held some sort of fireside chat, and I'm going to bring up the map here of Delph when I talk about this part. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so there's the map of Delph. Um, and so if you look towards the right hand side of the map, that middle section, that's NBC Delph. That's where Pappy dropped the famous first keep star in Delph, and sort of pushing off into the center of Delph, down downward, and then lately the last couple of days, that middle branch that runs all the way to 1DQ, that sort of middle road that you can see runs right through the middle of the thing. There have been a lot of inroads made by the Pappy forces, by our forces, into that section. And then what was interesting is, I don't know the exact details, but there was a fireside chat by Matani, and we haven't seen a lot of Matani, I'd like to point out. He's been kind of quiet ever since they really started getting their ass kicked in Delve and elsewhere in Lowsec and Nullsec. But apparently, they called for some sort of a retreat or a move. 1DQ is actually all the way in the middle of the map, that little bubble, and I wish I can't really do my pointer. I don't know why, but 1DQ kind of hangs out there on that middle line. If you follow that middle sort of road of stargates, that last one in the center as you reach the left-hand side of the map, that's 1DQ. And according to what I heard, at least on Talking in Stations and other sources, is that Matani called for them to all retreat to the top right-hand cluster of systems. Um, And so that's interesting. I mean, that's interesting that they would, and I guess that is where they intend to make their last stand. The logic was kind of really escaped me, but the logic was supposed to be that they could bottleneck us into that area. I don't really see how that's going to work out for them. Um, but I know that the Pappy forces have been gate camping, as people try to shuffle a lot of their resources around Delve. I would assume because of that fireside chat. I don't really know. But so yeah, and a lot of silence from Batani lately, which is a good thing as far as I'm concerned. We could never hear from him again, and I would be stoked with that. But the one thing that we did hear from him was that fireside chat that he gave his own sort of true believers. The numbers that we're seeing are way down. Like when we go out, and our numbers are way down, actually, to be honest with you, the last week or so, um, our numbers have been nothing like they were when we first dropped the keep, and we're still outnumbering them 2-1 on the grid, on the field, during the battles that I've participated in. So their numbers are way down. If our numbers are down and we're still kicking their ass, then um, then definitely their numbers are way down, because there have been fights that I know they should have taken, they would have taken, they wanted to take keep stars and other structures that they just left floating there. And a few Reds would show up and look around, and they're pinging out and they're not getting anybody. They're not getting the bodies. People are sick of it. Our people are still excited. I think the numbers are down for a lot of reasons. I think the election really did us, because we're primarily, Pappy is a lot of U.S. time zone people, a lot of people very preoccupied with things that are going on in the United States of America. So I think that actually has a lot to do with our numbers being down. I think their numbers are down because they're just fucking demoralized. I mean, who the fuck wants to get pushed up into that little corner up in the right hand corner of the map there? I mean, that's fucked up. This whole region used to be theirs to do whatever they wanted, and now, like I said, we're slowly but surely pushing into Delve, and then, like I said, I heard this thing on Talking in Stations that Matani gave a fireside chat and told everybody to move up into the regions, systems that are in that sort of right hand top corner of it. Anyway, we're going to watch some funny memes. It's Shit Talk Saturday, so there's no doubt about it. This is a show is biased to the Pappy Alliance, but if you're a goon, no problem. You know, we can get along. We can be reasonable. But you just got to understand that this is where the show is at. I want to play some of the really cool memes that I have found lately. This is one that came out just after the Keepstar. There was a series of battles that I participated in. One of them was the famous one that won the Guinness Book of World Records, the Fury at FWS. But what those battles were a series of battles of us attempting to drop a Keepstar in Delve and failing. Quite frankly, it's a very hard thing to do. And the Imperium forces were willing to sacrifice trillions of ISK worth of ships to keep us from dropping those Keepstars. And I clearly remember on Ron USMC during the third attempt to drop, somebody said in chat, and Ron actually addressed it, he said, why don't they just bubble wrap the entire damn Fortizar, the entire damn Keepstar? Why not just encase the entire thing in bubbles? And Ron said that it wouldn't be possible. He said it's just too much space. It's just too vast. It's too big. It would be such an incredible feat to be able to do something like that. I really feel like that was the moment when the idea for the fourth Keepstar was born, because somebody in that chat or in that stream must have been, high up in the strategy councils, if you will, of Pappy, because the very, very next Keepstar, that's exactly what they did. It completely encased the entire Keepstar in bubbles and very precisely placed bubbles. This must have taken hours. I just can't even imagine the amount of work and determination and the bookmarks that would be necessary, going out and finding all those spots. Just an incredible feat, but they actually managed to bubble wrap the entire Keepstar surrounded in bubbles, and that one got anchored. As a consequence, I mean, it was funny because you could actually see the Pappy forces jump on the grid. They took one look at it and they're like, yeah, okay, we're fucking out, right? And they didn't even bother. And so we're going to look at some memes about that. Last week, there was a defection. I guess the Red Alliance defected to the Imperium. They joined the Bees. And what a sucky time, right? To join up with the Imperium Alliance when you're literally getting your ass handed to you in this war. So we're going to look at that meme too as well. And then this week there was another funny meme that came out. There was a non-battle, a structure that got wrecked. I think it was an Astra House, but I could be wrong. It was a structure bash of some sort. And then in the midst of that structure bash, one of the Titan pilots went AFK. And so there's a funny meme about how they bumped that off and destroyed that Titan. Another win for Pappy. So we're going to look at those memes. I'll just kind of roll them back to back, I guess, and then we can just chuckle about them afterwards and talk about them. I'm going to look for my co-host, see if he's around anywhere to be had.
Thing from Keepstar wins. It's taken 2 weeks. We have thrown thousands of battleships at these Keepstars. We have put butts in chairs for literal weeks of time to fight these wars. We're going to do it again tomorrow because they dropped another Keepstar today thinking, oh my God, well, the fourth time they're really on the ropes. I guess the fifth time that's going to be it. I don't know what to tell you guys. We're here. We're ready to fight.
Eat my ass. Eat my ass. It's right here. You can eat my ass.
You got to stand up though. You can't be sitting down. I can't do it that way.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, well, we can give sort of.
Risk, I think the best point you had, and I guess the dominant was the one who made it.
We are in the arena. We are in the trenches. We are taking the risks that these people simply do not have the stones, the will, the courage, or the skill to execute. And the best thing about YZ9 is that they fucking know it.
I don't know what to tell you guys. We're here. We're ready to fight.
We are the heroes of the story, and we know it. That's why there are more of us every day fighting, and that's why there are less of our enemy. Because who would want to be on their side? I mean, really.
You tried it.
But I'm not seeing as much blue as when we started out.
Now I see on the bottom of the screen, there are what appear to be some interceptors here, and that's about it.
Like, a lot of people have asked why we just put our Titans down. Yeah, if we threw our Titans on the script, we could have probably killed it even with the bubble.
We fight like lions. We are the ones making the big ball plays.
And effectively, we didn't see any major Imperium forces landing on grid during the entire time. And we can only speculate as to the reason why that was. Whether it was
that our enemies don't have the courage, the balls to do.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt.
Cry more.
It's not a game for babies.
Cry more.
You constantly taste the salt.
Little dick, small ball play by a bunch of bitter losers, bitter exes, and people who are happy to hang out with people who make Holocaust jokes.
Incidentally, if you want to make the guy kill himself, his name is The Wiz. It's THE space.
They fight like little bitches about, Goon said mean things, but they're going to do whatever they want. Like, the hypocrisy and the cowardice is exactly what you would expect from a bunch of fucking wallflower losers who don't know how to fuck or party or live their fucking lives like men.
But the point is, and the thing is,
after we won last night, I went upstairs. I can't talk about what I did actually because Twitch regulations, but I relaxed. I had some fun, and did the kind of things that I know these guys can't do. It's called cocaine.
There just aren't words to describe. I mean, after we won, okay, which what he's saying is that, after we dropped the Keepstar and, it's just not words, not words enough to describe how hysterical that is. I love the salt segment, So, yeah, it is Shit Talk Saturday. We talk about Eve shit, but then we talk shit. And that is just fucking hysterical. I think that's my favorite meme of the war so far. And you can tell as we're getting on in it, Mittani just literally losing it. Literally, he's just losing his fucking marbles. And I think that has a lot to do with why he hasn't made a lot of public appearances on Twitch. As it's gotten just worse and worse, as we pushed using that Keepstar, we pushed deeper and deeper into delves. The losses are mounting, the iHubs are flipping, the systems are flipping. It won't be long, I anticipate, and again, I'm just a lineman, but it won't be long before we'll start dropping more structures of our own as we push deeper and deeper and hunt them down. Basically. What was it Ron USMC had on his stream title today? You can run, and all that will do is we will chase you down and kill you, and you'll be tired. Something like that. And it was just, it's just been, the war is definitely going very, very well for us and not so well for Mittani and his bees. And, again, for a lot of reasons, that works for me. We're gonna look at another one. This one is a meme that was done when the Red Alliance last week, the Red Alliance defected, I guess, if you will, and they lost a huge amount of their membership in the process of doing that. They lost like half of their members, and they defected to the Imperium. And this is sort of a meme that was made for that news that came out last week.
Ah, the lunchroom, where the natural order of a school is put on display. For it is here that everything has its place. At the head table are the kings of the lunchroom.
They've already gotten more blowjobs than we'll ever get.
Next, it's the drama kids.
Ugh, so gross that they're always touching each other.
Then, the goth kids, guys with no personality, the robots pretending to be kids. Then it's the nerds, the dweebs. And finally, we arrive at our table.
Hey, that's not us!
Excuse me, gentlemen, this is our table.
Oh, really? Where are all your battleships? That's what I thought. This region now belongs to the Horde. Bonk, 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 bonk.
We don't have a thing. We don't have a table. We...
Yeah, so I have no idea if the bees are out there making these memes too, but I haven't seen any. I get around a fair amount on YouTube and on Twitch, and I haven't seen anything quite that hysterical. I think that's another sign, actually, that you're losing. You're getting your ass handed to you when, and they pony up for this by doing that stupid meta show, and dropping all those great clips that you can take from that show, and they're just so fucking ridiculous. I mean, they especially Matadi, and then Brisk Rubel with his what was it, Curious Frank or whatever, the little fucking stuffed animal on his shoulder and dressing up in the little soldier uniform and everything. To me, the whole thing is just fucking stupid. It would be stupid even if I wasn't in a war fighting them, but it's doubly stupid. And I can't believe that that's inspiring to their people. I think maybe that's why we haven't seen a lot of it in the last week, because I just can't imagine that kind of material, that kind of propaganda would be the thing that would be like, hey, yeah, I want to go out and sacrifice my Titan or my Dreadnought or my Capital, or even jump into a sub-capital ship and do like I do. I die over and over again. I'm horrible PvP player. My goal is very modest in this war, man. I go out in the cheapest ship I can, and my goal is to get 2 or 3 shots off before I get killed and have to reship and go back out onto the field again. I've made 1 kill. I didn't get the picture up this time around, but I made 1 kill on a structure bash where I actually ended up on the kill mail for that. But I'm just cannon fodder. I'm just enjoying myself. I'm having a hell of a time out there, to be honest with you. It's a great way to learn. I'm never going to be a great PvP. I got to switch the graphics around. We just got guy Heiyuu in the mix. Hold on a second. Let me turn this mic on, and I got to change his name around. You took my seat. You took my seat in Discord. This is unacceptable. My co-host, guy Heiyuu, he'll be with me in 2 seconds. Just give me a second to fix things real quick here. Miracles could happen. Malcor could actually kill something that's got a pilot in it. You know what I mean? I mean, I've killed a few structures, but I haven't managed to actually kill a goon yet. But I want a goon corpse. I want to legitimately, I'm going to stick around and try to harvest the corpse. I want to bring a goon corpse home with me. It's my goal in the war is to get at least 1 goon corpse in my cargo hold and try to get it home back to Gelhan again in my mining and whatnot. But yeah, it's the war. I think one of the things to me that makes this war so unique and historic and epic is that it isn't about resources. It isn't about space. It isn't about money even, which was the last really big war. Hey, is that you? Is that you, guy? Uh, oh, good. Um, I think that one of the things that makes this war so different and so special is it's not about resources. It's not even about the First World War B, which was mostly about money. They called it the Casino War, and it was about ISK. I think the fact that people are so passionate, because when I talk to other sort of cannon fodder linemen in the chats, in the local chats and stuff in Pappy, um, my story is not unique. They were just regular players. Maybe they were industrialists or miners or whatever, and everybody had a story. Everybody had a story about how the goons had fucked them over, or had something about the goons had gone across their ass sideways, and they had dropped everything that they were doing and went to join the war because there was this opportunity, this wonderful opportunity that opened up to crush this imperium into dust. And so my story is actually not unique, and I think that passion has there's a lot of factors. There's COVID, and we talked about that earlier in the show. There's Eve Echoes, which according to very official numbers has added 6% player base to Eve Online in the last few months, has come from the release of Eve Echoes. But I think that we lost Guy, but he'll be back. He probably got an internet connection. I'll keep talking for him, and we'll go ahead and I'm going to spin this last meme. This one is the Titan getting bumped and them losing yet another battle. But it's a funny meme. I love these propaganda memes. They're so cool. So we'll play this while we try to find.
Come da porca picchita va bene, si tu la parla miezza americano, quando si fa l'amore sotto la luna, come da bene in cave di I love you, papà l'americano.
So that was the last meme. I have no idea how this show went. I just noticed a couple of buttons that I probably should have pushed at the beginning. I hope we've been hearing Guy talk. Say something, Guy.
Something.
Yeah, I heard him on Discord, but I'm not sure if he went through on the stream and on the recording. So maybe we just fucked up a whole bunch of really good talk. But it's I first of all, I want to say that Guy, you talked about yourself as a guest earlier. I really think that I would love to have you be a permanent part of this show. So again, you're welcome here anytime. And you're, as far as I'm concerned, you're a co-host when you're on the air, not a guest. So, but if we lost all of the last conversations of Guy, I apologize. Maybe it will have come through on the recording and the stream anyway. I hope it did, but if it didn't,
that's okay. I'm a very talkative, wordy individual, and I'm more than happy to fill up another block of conversation for somebody sometime.
Yeah. I think I had, like I said, I'm learning the OBS and all of it, and I didn't have as many problems as I had last week as far as the audio, but I just realized that I had something muted, mostly because I was all alone, like at the beginning of the show, and so I had muted. I think I muted all of Discord, and maybe it wasn't coming through. We were hearing it back and forth, but possibly it didn't go on the stream. I'll know more when the show finishes up and I get into the recording. We'll see what we can salvage, and if we lost a whole lot of Guy's conversation, I really apologize to viewers and also on the archive for that. I'll get better at this and better at this. We're going to do a Sunday show tomorrow, Guy. What do you think the chances are that we can get you and Blue in here to talk about Red versus Blue?
That depends on the boss. By the boss, I mean the wife. She's working early tomorrow, so we're gonna see what kind of time frame I have in the early afternoon.
What about Blue? Do you think you can talk to Blue and get her to come on?
I dropped Blue a couple messages. I haven't gotten any word back, but I know that Blue is quite busy. So, I'll reach out and we'll see where Blue's going to be at.
Well, in any case, we will be on the air tomorrow, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Each stream will get better and better quality. This is only episode 2 of Flying Internet Spaceships. So, each episode will get better as I get more and more practice and fixing audio problems and making sure all the right buttons are pushed and whatnot. I'll get better and better at it. I'm pretty sure the first part of the show is going to be great. Like I said, just to recap for you, because you missed it, I went through my Jita Party photo collection, probably about 15 different photos that I took, fireworks, and I toured the station. I flew out of the station this afternoon just before the show. I undocked and went on a manual pilot, and I attempted to circumnavigate Cheetah 4x4, a huge station, so it took a while. And I made it all the way around, about 3/4 of the way around the station, and then what I did was I dove into the station. You can actually fly into, without docking, you can fly into the station. And when you do,
yeah, I was scrolling around a little bit on the 4.4 myself. I totally forgot to do anything with the event, but I actually, dude, I wonder how it's going to impact PvP in the area.
So far so good, but then again, I'm just a little astero. I mean, it is high sec no matter what, so they got to have a reason, to want to smash you, and they don't even get any ISK or anything out of me. I mean, I'm in a cheap ass astero with a cargo hold full of fucking fireworks, so I haven't had any problems. Nobody's locked me up or anything like that. I don't actually even see a whole lot more than normal pirates in the area. I mean, it's just kind of the normal amount. And also, there were like 2,000 people in the system, which is a fair amount of people. The system was pretty laggy. And so there's a lot of targets to pick from. I guess is my point. You're just one little bug in a nest full of bugs. And so I've had no problem. Myself, I've had to leave the station and the system every single day to do the challenges and then come back. I've been actually basing right out of Jita for the entire party. And I have no problems. I saw one really big batch of criminals on the way to Minmatar space to do my challenge today. and they didn't lock me up or anything. It made me a little nervous. They were clearly all red, um, and I'm not used to seeing that in this tune because this tune is my not war deckable tune. It's my Omega tune. So for a minute, I almost felt like I was in the war. My heart kind of stopped, and I was like, "Oh fuck, is that Goons?" And then I realized, no, wait a minute, it's not wrong tune, right? This isn't the one in the war, so it was just criminals hanging out at a gate. And I think just looking for opportunity, which, like I said, I don't really present flying around in a cheap ass Estero. But I've had a great time. One of the things that I think is different than the other space parties I go to, because I go to all the Empire events too. I go to any event where I can shoot fireworks. That's I love. Me and you have talked about it a lot offline. I've got tens of thousands of rounds of fireworks back at home in Galhan. I collect them literally like baseball cards, and I packed the Estero full right to the brim this time because I knew this was going to be different, and it's huger. It's a lot bigger of a party. But the one thing I kind of miss about this that you don't get because it's Cheetah that you get in the Empire is I on the Empire events I tend to meet a lot of people. Like when I did the Amar event, I met a wonderful Amari friends that I'll have for life in the local chat, and we exchanged contacts, and I even left an office and a ship and a clone in Amar space so that I could get back there easier next year. And I keep in contact with the people I met. Like every once in a while, I'll get a message from one of the people that I met at the Amar event. The same with the Galente event and the Minmatar event. I met, in each one of those, I met people in local and made contacts, and it was a very social event. You don't get that with this party, unfortunately, because as anybody knows about Jita, local is trash. You can't talk in local. I mean, it's just nothing but continuous spam. It's continuous sales pitches and spam and scams and that's all done by bots now. That's all done by scripts. So there's not even people behind those tunes to even talk to. So local is kind of useless for sort of meeting people and hanging out with them and especially going out and flying together. I'd love to have somebody out there. Been trying to get some Gelhan peeps or anybody that knows me to sort of ping me when I'm in Jita. I'm going right back. As soon as this show is over, I'm going to go back into Jita. I want to get some better screenshots and stuff and whatnot. But just to fly around with people in a small group and explore. It's a huge complex. We went through it earlier. There's two new structures, the moon structure, which I guess that's not new, but it's been upgraded. And then there's a new structure behind, sort of a business structure. And I didn't dock up at either one of them. They're both dockable. But I think the business structure might actually have a clone bay in it. That's one thing that for those who have been going to Jita for a lot of years, you can't actually make Jita 4x4 your home station. There's no medical clone bay in Jita 4x4, and there still isn't. But there's a building, a new structure, a business center, if you will. That's what it's called, behind Jita. And I suspect, I didn't dock up today, but I suspect that there's possibly a clone bay there. And then there's the moon station, which I also dockable, and I suspect that is probably dedicated towards resources like moon mining and whatnot. And then it's got the space elevator, which is brand new. It's got the cable running all the way down from that moon station all the way down to the surface of the moon itself. So it'd be interesting to see. I imagine at some point something's going to come up that cable, whether it be and there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of rumor that if you look down on the moon now, that the whole moon now is one big giant city below that moon station. There's been a lot of talk about how vast that is and what potential that holds. Like there's been rumors flying for months now that we are going to be able to go down on the planets and down on the moons. Possibly in some sort of full body avatar, like walking around in stations or stuff, or at least be able to attack them from space.
I hope so. It's been something that the players have been wanting, I know, for at least like a decade, is because you go through all this effort to create your character and get these snazzy outfits. And really all you can do is take Polaroids of yourself right now, right? So we've all been hoping for. A few years ago, well, maybe more than a few years ago now that I think about it, but there was even rumors that we would actually be able to interact, like you can get assassinated docked up in your station, because they were talking about people being able to get up and explore the stations and find each other and interact that way. So who knows, man?
Well, I think too that one indication is not just the indications that we're getting, these big cities that are appearing on the planet's surfaces and whatnot, but also let's look at the competition. Star Citizen never took off, and I don't think it's ever going to take off. Unfortunately, I think it's just they sucked up literally $1.5 billion of crowd-funded money into that game, and I don't think it's ever going to leave beta. I think it's a waste. It's too bad that they didn't have the balls and the resources to go ahead and put that game into production. But you look at some of the other competition coming along. Dual Universe, for one, is a huge one, and a lot of the Eve streamers have been. They actually right now it's because they're getting paid. Dual Universes actually will give you money to stream a few hours of Dual Universe, and they've been specifically targeting Eve Online Twitch streamers for this offer. They talked to me. I declined. I have my reasons. I've got some questions about the developers and the culture that they're developing and some of the ways that they've treated some of the players in the early stages of Dual Universe. Maybe I'll get over that. I do have the ability to play for free for 3 months if I want to. That was given to me by the developers, and then to stream it if I want to. But Dual Universe, full avatar. You can walk around on the planet, set up your bases, and you can still jump in a spaceship and fly around and shoot each other in space. So it's really kind of that dream. I've actually played a couple of other games. One that sticks in my mind. It's both a combo. It's like Eve Echoes. It's kind of a combo. You can play it on desktop or on mobile, but it's called Vendetta Online, and that is a space MMO that also has full body avatar and not as many planets, obviously, as Eve. I think there's only like 5 or 6 star systems that are involved in the game. Maybe a few more than that, but not many compared to Eve Online, 7,000 star systems. But you can get out of your ship and walk around on the planets. You can build structures on the planets. You could shoot each other on the surface. You can shoot other sort of alien creatures and stuff. So Vendetta Online, an interesting little sort of avatar-based space thing. And then Entropia Universe, which is another somewhat popular desktop MMO, space MMO, where you get out and you can fight stuff on the ground, and you can also fly around in space, and not so much PvP. There's a little bit of PvP that goes on, some pirates and stuff like that. That people there's some shooting in space, but it's mostly a ground-based game. But the space element does exist. So you look at the competition that's coming in, and all of these space MMOs now have the sort of that aspect of it where you have your spaceship, and then you have the full body avatar. And so it would seem to me that this would be a direction for them to go in. I don't see how they couldn't. And I still say that Dust would have been successful if they'd have just put it for the computer. I mean, I think the thing that killed Dust more than anything was they made it for the consoles, for the gaming consoles only. You're not going to be able to do that this time around. And I think they learned that lesson. They're going to have to make it computer based system, but I think they have to head in that direction. I don't see how it can stay fresh and new without that eventually.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And we're getting into an era of cross compatibility with everything anyways now. Like I've been doing a lot of Xbox gaming during a period of time that I didn't have access to a computer, and one of the things they're offering is this Game Pass Ultimate for only an extra $1 or whatever, and it allows you to play games that you have purchased for Xbox over to the PC, and you're seeing more of that happen with some Steam games. Like, there's a lot more games coming over to console that used to be PC only, and I can only imagine it's happening in the other direction as well. But like DayZ now, you can play the beta on console, which, for years you've never been able to do because it's like an ARMA port, right? An ARM has never been available for console either. And, we're just starting to see a lot more of that. Heck, the Xbox One that we're getting rid of, because they've got the new Xbox coming out, runs Windows 10. It's a modified console version of Windows 10. So they've got to come into this era that you're seeing it with games like Eve Echoes. Like, we're coming into this era where Eve is starting, or CCP's got to start realizing that, hey, we can offer the Eve universe on every device you own. And furthermore, we can start making it so each instance of that Eve universe, whether it be, Echoes or Dust or Eve itself, is simultaneous and cross-platform compatible.
Well, I find it hard to see, as an Eve Echoes player, I actually hope that they don't blend the two universes, because what's interesting about Eve Echoes is that it's developing its own storyline, its own lore. Starting from way before the timeline for Eve Echoes starts before the Eve timeline. So I kind of hope they don't mess with that. But that said, one of the things I am really good at about Eve is I'm a storyteller and I'm a reader, and I love the lore of Eve Online, the story. And what a lot of people don't realize, like I've had people say, even on my show, say that, well, Dust didn't have any lore. That's just not true. All you got to do is read Templar 1 and read that book. I highly, highly recommend it. You can check it out for free out of the openlibrary.org. You can buy it real easily in ebook form for cheap. And you can even still find it in bookstores. But Templar 1 takes place after the Age of Empyrean storyline, which is where actually Age of Empyrean is where the Voltron weapon that is used by Edencon ships. By the way, I love it. I love the Stormbringer. I own one. I bought one during the Triglavian invasion. Malcor Rex, my Omega character, actually fought in that sort of scenario. Because it's not, he's not war deckable, but he got to get out and do a lot of the Triglavian content. And that weapon, that Voltron weapon, where it shoots out the bolt of lightning, and the lightning hits one ship, and then it goes to all the other ships, all your other enemies in the vicinity. So you can actually hit 3 or 4 ships, and it hits them hard. And you can hit 3 or 4 locked targets with the same round, the same bolt of energy. That weapon is right out of Empyrean Age. It was first used by the Empress. What the fuck was her name? The crazy Empress, who she flew out in an apocalypse and fired the very first Voltron weapon. And that weapon was discovered by her scientists in a wreck from Earth at the Eve Gate, at the remnants of the Eve Gate. They discovered the wreck of an Earth ship, and in it they found machines that allowed them to reverse engineer and create the Voltron weapon today that's used. So all of these things have a basis in those extended storylines, and primarily if you read Age of Empyrean, and then Templar 1 was 100%, it was Dust. I mean, it was what you would have based Dust on. And essentially what some sort of mad scientists in the Empire, some bad people, what they did was they went against Concord. This is specifically against the law. In all the empires have illegalized doing this. But what they did was they converted clone technology for foot soldiers, the Templars. And so then they could, and what you do is, it's not exactly the same technology. It's based on the Jove technology, and it's based on it, but it's not exactly the same technology. But essentially what they do is you go into a war zone, and the force people, the people in charge of your force, will drop these sort of habitats, these little containers, and in each container is a clone bay with perhaps anywhere from one to up to 4 or 5 clones of you into the battlefield itself. And then you yourself would drop in the clone that you're already in, and you would run around and shoot people. And you were very strong, lots of strong armor. The clones were, all muscled up and everything. The clones were engineered, genetically engineered to be soldiers, to be foot soldiers. So you were buff, and you'd get out there, and then when and if you got killed on the field of battle, you would respawn in these containers that were guarded, but on the field of battle too. And then you could just literally run right back out. You could armor up and run right back out onto the field of battle, and fight again. I guess until you ran out of clones in your little container that got dropped. And so that's the story in Templar 1. And that's essentially what they were presenting in Dust. And the point of this whole thing is that the lore exists for this sort of thing. This is possible, and your consciousness could easily be exchanged. You wouldn't be able to be a pilot. The two things would have to be different. To stick with the story, you'd have to change your consciousness into a Templar clone, and then you would be in that system, that sort of Templar cloning system, until you decided to switch back, because they're slightly different according to the storyline. But the one thing that remains is the ability to transfer consciousness through quantum transmission. So that part of the story would remain the same. So the whole lore exists for this whole thing, to make these full body avatars, to allow us to attack facilities on planets and moons, and even in station, to even fight. I don't imagine in NPC stations they would allow it, but I can picture like you being able to, for instance, go inside of a Keepstar of the goons and shoot goons inside their own Keepstar, using as a Templar soldier, as sort of these clone soldiers. So the whole lore exists. It's really about whether or not they'll go ahead and do this. And I think they realize they're going to have to go this way. Like I said, if you look at all the competition, old and new, all of the competition has this full body avatar aspect to these space MMOs. It's like EVE Online is really kind of the only one left that doesn't have it. And they're the biggest one. So I would think that, and now more than ever, it seems likely to happen because they're making so much more money. They're not proud of it either. They say, most of our money is coming this last year from COVID, and that sucks. And they're honest about that and cool about it, and I get that, but they got more money. And Eve Echoes being a huge success as well, they've got that money income as well coming. So they've got the development money. And if you follow stuff like I follow on Twitter, I follow CCP Careers, not because I'll ever want to get a job with them, but it's just interesting to see what sort of jobs they're advertising for. And we're seeing that it's being built, I think, in London, and you're seeing a lot of advertisements for people to work on coding a new unannounced first-person shooter. What else are they going to do? What are they going to come up with a whole new game? I mean, what else could it be? This mysterious first-person shooter that they're trying to get help to code. What else could it be? It's got to be something within the EVE Online universe.
I mean, there's no telling. CCP be crazy. We all know that. But, fingers crossed that it's Dust 2.0.
Dust would have been a complete success. The storyline was there. The idea was there. The mechanics were there. They had the crossover. The ISK that you made in Dust showed up in your wallet when you logged into EVE Online. They had it all going on. The only thing I think that was really missing, besides it, they had some coding problems. They had some coding issues. But the only thing that was really missing was that it was that it was only on the consoles. And I'll never buy a console. I just have no use for it. I'm not a gamer. I tell people that all the time. I'm into simulations. My point of being here is the sandbox, and so I'll never be one of those who will sit and play. I can't think of anything more boring than playing something where I'm all alone and it's just me and the NPCs, me and the game. To me, that would literally be the most boring thing in the world. What makes this what it is to me so fascinating is that I'm in there with 35,000 other fucking dudes and dudettes who can do anything they want. Anything can fucking happen on any given day, any given moment. You know, those tens of thousands of people are doing their own thing, and I'm going to interact with them and meet them and befriend them or make enemies out of them. And that whole prospect to me is the fascination. That to me is the draw. So I'm never going to be a gamer. I'm never going to own a console. So they got to make it so that we'll play. I'm certainly not going to buy $1,000 thing just so I can play some other aspect of EVE Online. That's never going to happen either. I mean, I've got decent money in my retirement, but I'm not going to blow it like that. So I'm hopeful, and I'm also hopeful with this memory thing that we talked about earlier in the show, where they have already done one update based on this new memory system. Your client now, as of today, is 17% more efficient on system memory than it was last week. They have introduced the Eve monitor, which you can see running now in your taskbar whenever you launch Eve. There'll be a third program that launches besides the launcher and the client. There's a little app called Eve Mon, and that sends back data that is helping them improve it even more. And they've created the Cube of Death on the test server, which is basically it's a giant cube of 1,000 ships. And by people going there and checking that out, and by their developers being able to fly there, it gives them the ability to monitor their progress by having a huge busy scene, a scene that would normally start to cause tie-dye if it were real ships and real people, and get it even better. That was a huge, to me, that was the biggest announcement this week, was the memory improvements and their sort of program to continue on that goal, and make Eve even more. You get more bang for your buck, essentially. Is where they're going with this, and I think that's probably part of it. And I also think that these battles have been a wake-up call. These big battles, these record-breaking battles. I think they always wanted to end latency and tie-dye altogether, and we all know it's possible. Come on, I mean, you can go to Google. All right, granted, Google's a billion-dollar corporation, right? But you can go to Google and there's no lag. Okay, I mean, you got fucking a million other people accessing that same fucking server, and yet everybody gets their search result in 0.02 seconds or whatever. So there are ways. Nobody can tell me there isn't a way that you can have a 6,000 person battle with zero latency and zero tie-dye. It's possible. It's just going to take money and research and time and probably some more money on top of it. But I think that they're heading in that direction. I think they see the draw on this. They see more and more people are signing up just to be a part of these epic record-breaking battles. And I think that they would like to get it, if not better, and maybe even perfect. You know what I mean? Eventually, like I said, I would think the goal would be zero tie-dye, zero latency on the servers, no matter what the size of the battle. And I know as an IT it's possible. It's probably expensive, and it takes reworking, I think, the game to a certain degree. The code needs to be reworked. The code is very old. It's 20 years old. But this is all doable stuff. One update at a time, one patch at a time. You replace one block of code at a time, and you get there. You know, you put one foot in front of the other, and you get there. And I think that's another direction that they want to go. And now that they've got the impetus, they've got the massive uptick in player base, they've got the massive amount of money coming in from that and from Eve Echoes. I think they're going to strike while the iron's hot. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm sensing from them. Is going to strike on both of these directions while the iron's hot. And I think that's wonderful. I think Eve has there's no reason that this game can't stay fresh and incredible and vibrant for at least the next 10 years. I don't want to say another 20. I mean, that's a long time, but I don't see why it can't go for another decade easily with if they can strike in those two different directions and make some progress.
I think they're realizing that they can make it go another decade. I used to make mention a lot of like the old bones in this game. And anybody who picks up this video at any point in time, I encourage you, go into the game and look for your character's notepad, and you're going to notice something. You're going to notice something a little bit interesting in there. I can't remember exactly where it is. I think it's not in social. Well, anyway, if you go into your character's notepad, there is a ridiculous. Oh, there it is. It's under utilities. Yeah, there's a character limit, a really small character limit too, from back when the game was brand new, and computers just couldn't handle much, and it was a way to keep memory low for your character file. It's the same reason why when you send mails out to people, like, there's a character limit. You can't just send a big mail to people. It's old bones from when the game was new and technology was far more feeble than the potent ground pounders you gamers are using today.
Or just watch some of the old videos. I mean, if you go back into like 2006, 2010, that sort of era, you look at some of the old videos, like you can't even hardly tell they're playing the same game that you're used to. And I think they're definitely working on the UI. I mean, I've noticed some pretty major changes. I love the ability to toggle the entire 3D scene off, for instance. So if you're involved in a huge battle where there's a lot of tie-dye, I've actually already used that, and I find it very useful, to be honest with you. My machine immediately starts performing better in these big battles. Like when you start to get to like 5 to 10% tie-dye, I can toggle off my 3D, and I get a lot better result from doing that. And you don't really need the 3D. Do you really need to see the Titan explode? All you need to do is be able to target the fucking thing and shoot, right? And you can easily do all that. And you still see it in 3 dimensions, so that in other words, it doesn't become like flat like a 2D thing. It stays 3D. It's just everything disappears except the icons. All you're left with is the ship icons floating in blackness. And you lose all of that scene, and that's huge, because in those big tie-dye battles, my machine, basically, my fan doesn't turn off. When I go into those big battles, those big tie-dye scenes, my fan just keeps whirring and whirring and whirring. And so I think they're definitely making progress. And then I noticed that the art, these last several updates, I want to say the last 4 updates, the art, all the art, even sitting inside of a station in dock, the interior of the stations are more vibrant. The audio, they've changed the audio up so that, remember the wrench dropping? I don't know how many people live in Minamatar space, and they had over and over on the loop, and they had every 3 minutes or so a wrench would drop onto cement and stuff. They've changed all that up now. You know what I mean? They've changed even little things like the audio, and you notice these things if you play every day like I do. That kind of stuff right away. You're like, oh, wait a minute, where'd that wrench drop thing go? So they're definitely, and then the wonderful work they did on Cheetah 4x4, which is way overdue. Actually.
On that note, I just gotta say, I miss the old voice actress for Aura. I don't know what happened to the licensing there, but if you ever hear this, old Aura, come back to us, please.
She was awesome. I mean, she's gone, but I think that I think they are working on the UI and working on the code. One of the things about CCP that I value about them is the patience they have. They really go to a great length to test and create changes. I mean, I know people complain all the time. Well, this update mucked up my shit. This update mucked up my shit. But you know what? You actually don't get that much. If you play other simulations, other MMOs like I do, you're far more likely on some of these smaller gaming companies to get an update that just completely jams your shit up than you are on CCP. I think they really are painstaking and taking their time. And also they're working with this really old code base. I mean, there has to be, I'm just guessing, but there has to be some sort of institutional chain of knowledge problem here. When you get into a game that's 20 years old, I mean, you have people that weren't even born working for CCP that weren't even born when the fucking game, started. And so there's this sort of what we call institutional knowledge, which is the chain of knowledge that's passed down that can become rusty if not broken. So in other words, they're working with code and there's nobody around to ask the dude that wrote the code. You know what I mean? Hey, how did you do this? Why did you do this? How can I change this? That dude is gone. He's retired. He's gone on. He's got grandchildren now. You know what I mean? So, when you're working with a game that's old, I think it takes a lot of patience to see these improvements roll out. But I think that they're making the effort. I see the effort being made, and I see that I'm very happy with the results. So I think that all this bitching, all this shitbird bitching about CCP is just that. It's just people being shitbirds. If you're going to quit, can I have your stuff? That's all I want to know, right? I mean, I'm never going to quit, and I have a lot of faith in CCP to keep this thing going and to keep Division alive.
There shouldn't be any shit talking to CCP because there's only two kinds of players in the game that would shit talk CCP. One is new bros who do it to get a rise that really don't have a right saying anything, and the other is frickin' bitter vets, man. Bitter vets that just want to complain about anything and everything, but they still log in as subscribe and play every day, so they can complain or they can do something about it.
Well, I think if people lose their wonder of it all, and I think some people never had the wonder to begin with. Like I talk to a lot of people that they call it, spreadsheets in space, and that's all they see. All they see are their modules and the percentages and the killboard stats, and and you can tell those people because, like I said, they'll be the ones who shitbird and call it spreadsheets in space. Well, if that's all you see, then that's all you're going to get. But when I undocked today from Jita, and I just showed my 15 photograph album that I collected in an hour outside of Jita, to me it was awe-inspiring. What I saw was beauty on a scale that I've never seen in any simulation, and I've participated in a lot of simulations, all different kinds of simulations, space simulations, full-body avatar simulations, and I still participate in them. And to me, the breathtaking beauty of EVE Online I think I'll never be able to see enough. It's like I was saying earlier in the show, I only spent a half an hour exploring that station. I want to do every alleyway. There's all these like nooks and crannies and alleys. So like I said, you can fly right into the station. I'll bet there's Easter eggs in there. I've been watching the other streams and there's not too many people. I mean, everybody goes to Glass Dome. You know what I mean? I got my shot of the Glass Dome too. It's huge. You can put like 300 battleships inside this glass dome, and it's gigantic. But I want to go all those alleyways. I bet there's all kind of CCP Easter eggs in there. There's all kind of shit in Cheetah 4x4 waiting to be discovered. And to me, that kind of wonder, like when they did the Malaya Cemetery, I made 30 jumps just to go out there and see that. When they made that permanent and they made it part of the game, I was like, that is cool. I want to be buried there. For the record, I want somebody to go out there and put a container out there for Malcor Rex. I'm 60 years old. Hopefully I last another 20 years, but whatever. When I finally go, my friend's got to take a container out there, go to Malaya Cemetery, and put me out there in that. And I just think that's incredible. And then to read all the epitaphs of the hundreds and hundreds of people who've done just that, who have gone out there and put memorials for other players who have left this world. I want to die playing EVE. I mean, I want to be buried there. And I had the most incredible time going out there and touring that feature of the game. And to me, that's the wonder of it. Going to these Empire events and shooting the fireworks at the Titans and, meeting all kinds of great people in space and buddying up with them and flying around. To me, that if you don't have that wonder and all you see is numbers and spreadsheets, then, like I said, that's all you're going to get. But if you do have the wonder, it's fucking limitless, man. I mean, there are 7,000 star systems. Each one of them has, and then there's wormhole space and abyssal space, and now the new Triglavian region. And God knows what the fuck is up in there, what kind of mysteries they got hidden up in that place. There is so much wonder. And it is presented so realistically and so beautifully. It is such a realistic simulation. I can't wait to try EVE Online with the full VR goggles. I mean, that's gonna be the bomb. It's gonna be breathtaking. I'll probably puke my guts out. It'll be so breathtaking and so awe-inspiring to try it in full VR. And I think that's another direction that they're going to head. I mean, I know you can do it now, but it's not truly ported yet to the client. But I think they will very soon. There'll be a true VR port to EVE Online, and you'll be able to wear the goggles. And I mean, to me, that it's just amazing. It's just an amazing thing that they have created here. And if you lose that wonder, then naturally you're going to sit around and shitbird about every little last fucking thing, because all you're worried about is I want a better spreadsheet. And if that's all you see, then I think that you've really missed the point. Maybe you should move on to some other game that can somehow establish that wonder, because to me that's the point of playing. It's not about win or lose. It's about going, holy shit, every single time you undock. That feeling of, holy shit, I can't believe that. That's the reason to undock. That's the reason to stay in EVE Online.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I like working with a lot of the new guys. I mean, I played the game for a while, so a lot of it is the same old, whether I like to admit it or not. But when you work with a lot of new players, you got to take them through the ropes so that you're answering these questions that you yourself remembering asking, years ago. You can't help but look at the game through a new player's eyes. I mean, as the CEO of Dubro Corporation, I'm actually kind of blessed with the fact that, like, it's literally my job to try to look at this game through the eyes of the most novice player and try to conceptualize like what I can do to help them bridge the gap from where they are now to where I'm at. Hopefully without disillusioning them as much as I've been, being exposed to the game like I have. But you know what I mean, though.
Well, and this is a good segue into, let's give a plug to Mission Ready Mining. If you're out there listening, mostly I guess on the archive, like I said, we kind of got swamped today for viewers, as far as I think the tournament took a lot of our people away. But Mission Ready Mining, guys, if you're out there, especially in the Galhan system, but I imagine you could just be about anywhere in HiSec. Look them up if you're looking for a corporation. Either you're a new person, or maybe you've got something to give. Maybe you're an old miner like me, and you've got something you want to give back to the system. And they are part of an alliance called Fly Fearless, an amazing alliance. I'm actually just put my own plug in. I have my application pending to put my one-man core into the alliance. And that reminds me, but before we part ways, I want to show off. I got a new core website. I'm very, very proud of it that I just finished. So give me 2 seconds. So here is my new corporation website for Rex Regis Core. It's a one-man core. It's just my holding corporation, but I'm quite proud of it. You see, I got my logo there. Little about. I got the location of Galhan. It goes right to the Dotland map. All of these links work. That opens up my Eve Who character sheet. Got my Twitter feed on the right hand side here. Of course, my referral link. If you don't play Eve, go to this. The website URL is Rex Regis. That's rex-regis.mygamesonline.org. And I'll throw that in the chat in a second here. And you can go there. If you don't play Eve already, you can click that link. You get a million free skill points, and I get a little something for it too. Then I've got my characters, Tutor Rex and Malcor Rex. Tutor's in the war. Malcor is my Omega tune. He's over at Jita right now. This is my fleet page. You can click here, and it opens up. It shows you the ships that are in my fleet, my fits. Links directly to the fits and stuff, and then my stuff about flying internet spaceships, which is actually the name of two different things. It's the name of this show, so the Twitch and the YouTube archive links are there, but also flying internet spaceships is the name of my blog. I'm just about to publish my first blog piece. It'll be on the war. I've been working on it for weeks. It's going to be really long, but hopefully really good. And so that's linked there. So there's my thing, and I'm mostly doing this because I'm plugging myself to Guy because he's the CEO of the Fly Fearless Alliance. So I just want to show, hey, this is how cool I am, man. But me and the Alliance. But anyway, Fly Fearless Alliance, mission ready mining. If you're looking for a new bro friendly community, they're local in Gelhan. They're neighbors of mine, and I get along great with all the guys. We're constantly. Oh, and a shout out to Evan Cunningham. If you ever tune into this, you little piece of shit. We're gonna go as soon as I get back from Cheetah. I'm gonna go right straight back to bumping you off those fucking bumping all your bot orcas off of the icebergs with my apocalypse. So I haven't forgotten you, Evan. We're always thinking about you, Evan. We love you.
He's such a rude boy too.
Such a fucking shithead, shitbird.
I actually tried to be really nice to him when I came over, man. But like every time I turn around, he's got to be just a jerk.
I'm not going to be nice to anybody that goes in there and bots. This game is lucrative enough. I go out there in my procurer and I make hundreds of millions of dollars a week. You don't need 50 fucking orcas out there. First of all, that's just fucking rude, to do that, and to do it as botting is just straight up cheating. I mean, it's just, and it's suspicious because anybody making that much ISK in high sec, it's almost guaranteed there's some real money trading going on there. And that's just really dubious there. That's beyond the pale there when you get into, selling ISK for real money. So, and it ruins the game. It puts the game in danger. What people don't understand about real money trading and the botting that supports it, but the real money trading is really bad because at some point, if EVE Online doesn't fight that, and they have to spend huge resources, they have a whole division of their organization devoted to fighting RMT. Imagine if that money and that manpower could instead be put to game development, how much further we would be ahead. But they have to, and here's why they have to. Because there are financial laws all over the world, and there are governments all over the world that would crawl up CCP's ass and tear them a new one if they were to just kick back and shrug and go, okay, well, fuck real money trading. Because then you'd have drug cartels storing their money inside of EVE. And you think I'm joking, but it's not. That would happen. And there would be all of these huge problems. You'd have money laundering problems. That kind of issue would exist. So they have to fight the RMT, and they spend huge resources to do it. And it sucks because those are resources that could be put into the game. So if anybody's ever wondered, if you're watching this and you ever wonder, what the fuck is the big deal? What's the big deal about real money trading? Why should anybody care? Well, you know what? I'll bet CCP on some sort of moral level doesn't care. And I certainly don't care. I don't find anything morally wrong with you selling some ISK for some Bitcoin or some ISK for some dollars or Coronas or whatever. But the governments of the world do. They see an issue with it, which means that forces CCP's hand, which, like I said, in turn means that they have to waste these resources, which in turn means that there's resources that could go into the game. And it just is what it is. I don't make the rules.
Man putting us down.
Right. I don't make the rules of the world. I don't make the rules of finance. And I certainly don't have any control over the really nasty people who, if we didn't police this, would take advantage of it to put blood money in the game. Groups like the cartels. I live in Mexico. I'm very familiar with what goes on down here, and we've already seen instances. I remember years ago they wrote an article about people storing drug money and doing money laundering through World of Warcraft, and then they had to crack down on RMT. You know what I mean? And so it is what it is. I don't write the rules of the world. I don't decide who takes advantage of what, but it is what it is. And the reason it's bad is because it eats up the resources that could be devoted to something so much better in the game. And it all begins with those botters. It all begins with those 50 orcas out there in high sec. First of all, taking money out of people like my pocket. I only have one tune. That's it. I don't even have a mining alt. My mining alt is in the fucking war. Okay, so I got Malcor. Malcor, he goes out there in his fucking suit and his tie and jumps in his fucking procurer and burns, big ones into little ones. And that is besides maybe buying some Plex once in a while to get some ships or whatever. That's my income. That's how I made my wealth, and I'm a billionaire. I'm a billionaire, not a multi-billionaire. I mean, but I got a couple billion, in ISK laying around, and the majority of that, I'd say 75% of that came from me jumping in my fucking procurer all by myself, maybe joining a mining fleet and going out there and burning rocks and chatting in local or watching Twitch streams. And I do it the good old fashioned fucking hard way. And if you can't work hard and you can't do the work, then get the fuck out of the game and stop cheating, And so, Evan, buddy, if you're out there listening, we're not going to stop fucking with you. The best thing for you to do is move the fuck out of Galhan because it's our home and we don't want you there. And I don't care what the fuck else you do if I don't have to see it. But as long as I got to see it, we're going to keep ganking those orcas. We're going to keep bumping them and we're going to keep fucking with you because there is no fucking way, dude, that you're out there with that many orcas with having, not being AFK and not botting. It's physically fucking impossible to fly that many fucking ships by yourself. So you're fucking cheating. And that's just fucking wrong. We're going to talk a little bit about the show. Hopefully, we'll get Guy tomorrow for Sunday show. It starts at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's on the schedule below, on the Twitch page below. You can see the schedule. So tomorrow's show is 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it will be nominally the topic will be the new player experience. We really want to get Blue in here, and I'm going to be all day tomorrow bugging her to get her to come in and talk about red versus blue. And if we don't get her in, we're going to have Guy on hopefully, and I'm going to do my research. I'm just going to look up a ton of shit about this group and really be able to talk about it myself because I think it's that important. So we're going to dedicate the show to the new player experience, but specifically to this red versus blue. And then I have a new show to announce. Every Monday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. we're going to do Meerkat Monday. And we'll say this again on Monday, but if people wonder what Meerkat, what the fuck is that, right? And we're even going to have a little logo for the Monday show with a meerkat on it. And people go, what is the deal with Meerkat? What does that fucking mean? Well, it's a derogatory term, at least at least the way it's used by people who are mostly PvP players, especially people like Brisk Rubel and guys like that who just absolutely despise anything to do with industry or whatever. And the term originally generated from the MER report, which is the monthly economic report. And we may or may not take a look at that. It's an interesting thing that comes out every month, and it breaks down all of the economy of Eve. And so Meerkat originally started as a derogatory term for people who actually pay attention to that report and actually think it's important. It's sort of a way of like denigrating them. And then the people who actually are into that picked it up and said, you know what? I'm cool with that. I'm cool with being a meerkat. You know what I mean? And so it just became one of those memes. So Meerkat Monday will be about the economics of New Eden. We'll talk about the MER report, but we'll also talk about other stuff like high-sec mining, industry, planetary interaction, the new resource distribution, and how they're changing the way that you can get the minerals and the values of them, where they're available, the changes in moon mining and moon goo, what new the ships now require a lot more of this moon goo, and ships in the different facilities, structures and stuff to build mods to build require more moon goo now. We'll talk about that kind of stuff, what it means to, and the nature of flying internet spaceships. We're not going to talk about what it means to big alliances and shit like that. We're gonna get some Galhan miners in here and say, look, man, the price of Veldspar went up. How is that working out for you? You know what I mean? Because of the resource distribution. So we're going to talk to the low guy on a totem pole, not the big guys, and what it means to them. So that'll be Meerkat Monday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can follow my Twitter. It's Malcor Rex on Twitter. That's all one word, Malcor Rex. And I tweet all of this kind of shit out. And then this show will be archived as soon as I can get it edited up and fixed up. It'll be archived on YouTube. And that channel is now available on the Twitch page. You can see it there in the right hand side. There's the little social media icons. And today I made sure to add the YouTube link, and that will take you over to a dedicated YouTube channel that just archives these shows. And this is only episode 2, but we're going to keep doing them. I'm enjoying myself. Each show will get better and have less mistakes and more guests and more interesting people. And I really want to keep Guy as a permanent or semi-permanent, depending on his time, host. I think he's fantastic. I mean, doesn't he have such a great voice? He's got a voice for this shit, man. I mean, that voice is just, wow, that's smooth, man.
My mother always told me I had a face for radio.
He's got the smooth radio voice going on, you know? I mean, I can't even replicate that shit. But anyway, we're going to keep Guy around, and he's not a guest. He's, as far as I'm concerned, anytime he will bless us with his presence, he's a co-host. So hopefully he'll be back tomorrow. So thank you so much for tuning in. Mostly, I guess, on the YouTube archive. Like I said, we kind of got blasted out of the water today by the Eve NT tournament, but I got to recommend that you tune it in. I'll leave the last plug for the Eve NT tournament. Google that shit up, look it up. It's a massive alliance tournament this year. It was taken over by the Eve NT people, which are actually player. That's a player-owned group. And then CCP cooperated. I remember CCP Aurora tweeting out this morning that she had just put the final code in to set up their leaderboard and stuff like that. So CCP actually pitching in with code and streaming and stuff like that to support the Eve NT tournament. It's as far as I know, it's an annual event. It's amazing. Like all of these really big alliances, like the Goon Swarm and all these other people, these big alliances, these big PvP alliances, duking it out, battling it out in an arena kind of situation. Fun stuff, great stuff. So tune that in. I don't feel bad if we lost all our viewers to that today. So tune that in. And then I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you, Guy, for being with me again and having my back on the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. It's been a pleasure being here. Anyways, you know, you and everybody else out there, you have a great night. Fly fearless.
Everybody stay safe. Wear your mask, socially distance, you know, and remember, you can't possibly get bored if you're on lockdown. You've got us. You've got Eve Online. You've got the greatest flippin' gaming community in the history of gaming. So just log in, and if you're feeling down, you're feeling bad, reach out, man. Reach out to anybody. It can be me on Twitter. It can be Guy. If you're feeling low, you're feeling down, reach out, man. You know, it's not all about the game. It's about the people who make the game. Remember, you write the story. You know, the story of Eve is written by you. And in real life, also reach out. And even CCP has resources. If you go over to the CCP Discord and you're feeling bummed out and you're feeling down, there are specific resources to deal with people in despair or feeling depressed or whatever. CCP is really cool about that, and they've got those resources available. So reach out to your community. We are your family. We are your community, and we're here for you. Love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. Adios, amigos.